You ever have one of those days where you're just minding your own business, doing something totally normal, and then suddenly, you're in the middle of a scene that feels like it's straight out of a reality show? Yeah, that was me, about 2 weeks ago. I was at home, just finishing up a long day and about to relax, when I noticed something weird. My back door was slightly open. Now, I closed that earlier, so I'm already on edge. I step outside to check, thinking maybe it was the wind, only to catch my neighbor, a woman we'll just call Karen, literally walking away from my house with a box of my cleaning supplies in her arms, like, not hiding it, not rushing, just casually stealing from me like it was totally normal. At first, I froze. I mean, who expects to catch someone stealing Lysol and sponges from your own house in broad daylight? When I called her out, just asked her what she thought she was doing, she turned around like I was the problem. And get this, instead of apologizing or even trying to come up with a lame excuse, she pulls out her phone and starts dialing 911. She starts yelling about how I'm harassing her and threatening her safety. Meanwhile, I'm standing there empty-handed, just trying to understand how this flipped so fast. The whole situation felt completely surreal. I'm thinking, is she actually serious right now? I could see her trying to play the victim, already starting to cry fake tears, talking loudly so the dispatcher could hear her side. It was like she rehearsed the whole thing. And the crazy part, the cops actually showed up. So now I'm standing in my own driveway, explaining to officers why a woman I barely know is claiming I'm the one causing problems, while she's still holding my stuff. What happened next? You won't believe how far she tried to take it. So here's a little backstory to help you understand why this whole thing felt so wild. Karen and I live in the same neighborhood, but honestly, we've never really talked. She's one of those neighbors who always seems to be watching everyone, but keeps to herself most of the time. I mean, we've all heard the stories about that one neighbor, right? Well, Karen definitely fits that description. People say she's super nosy and has a quick temper, but I never thought it would get this out of hand. I had no reason to suspect she'd ever come near my house, let alone take my stuff. I keep my cleaning supplies in a locked cabinet, but somehow she got in. No idea if she had a key or just figured it out some other way. That's what creeps me out the most. How long has she been sneaking around? And why cleaning supplies, of all things? It might sound small, but it felt like such a personal violation. These were things, and I don't share stuff like that with anyone. When the police arrived, things got tense fast. Karen was telling a completely different story, saying I was the one being aggressive, trying to intimidate her. She acted like she was the victim here, which made me wonder if she's done stuff like this before. The officers had to listen to both sides, and I was worried they might believe her because, honestly, she was acting so convincing. But I knew the truth, and I was stuck trying to prove it while feeling like I was the one under suspicion. The whole scene was exhausting, but also strange because it didn't feel like just a one-time thing. There were moments when Karen looked around like she expected someone else to show up or was waiting for backup. It was like she was ready for this confrontation, which made me question how deep this goes. Is she just a thief, or is there something more going on? I wanted to get to the bottom of it, but before I could say anything more to the police, Karen pulled out something that made my jaw drop. What she showed them next changed everything, and it wasn't what I was expecting. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more confusing, Karen reached into her bag and pulled out a piece of paper, some kind of note or receipt. She waved it around like it was the key to proving she was right and I was the one in the wrong. The officers took it and started reading, and I could tell immediately this was going to complicate everything. The note wasn't just a random scribble. It looked like some kind of informal agreement or a message she claimed we had about sharing supplies. I had no idea what she was talking about. I knew I never said anything like that, but seeing her so confident made me second-guess if I'd somehow forgotten. It felt like suddenly I was being dragged into a whole different story, one I wasn't even part of until now. Was Karen trying to gaslight me? Make me think this was all a misunderstanding? The more I watched her play this role, the more I realized that this wasn't just about stolen cleaning supplies anymore. There was some deeper tension between us that I didn't even know existed. Maybe she felt entitled to take from me, or maybe this was her way of sending a message, but either way, the conflict was spiraling into something way bigger. Meanwhile, the police officers were trying to keep things calm, but you could tell they were stuck in the middle too, trying to figure out who was telling the truth while the whole neighborhood was starting to gather around, whispering and watching. It felt like the entire block knew something was up, and now everyone had an opinion about who was the victim and who was the troublemaker. I could see a few neighbors nodding at Karen, and that confused me even more. Was there some history I didn't know about? On top of all that, I started thinking about the other small things that didn't add up. The missing mail I mentioned to a friend, the strange noises outside at night, and some packages that never made it to my porch. Could Karen have been involved in those too? Was this just the tip of the iceberg? The whole situation was making me question not just my safety, but what else might be going on under the surface in our quiet little neighborhood. I wanted answers, but as the police wrapped up their questions, I realized this wasn't going to be something that got solved in one night. And the worst part, Karen wasn't done. She still had a few tricks up her sleeve, and I wasn't sure how far she was willing to go. As the police started to pack up, I could feel a tension thickening in the air. Karen wasn't just sitting quietly, she was smirking like she'd already won, like she had some secret weapon she hadn't played yet. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. Every time I glanced at her, I saw that same look, the one people get when they think they're about to turn the tables completely. My heart was pounding because I knew if I blinked, I might lose control of the situation entirely. The officers asked me to stay calm and assured me they'd investigate everything, but the doubt was creeping in. What if they believed Karen's version of events? What if this turned against me? I started to think about all the times I've tried to be a good neighbor, kept my distance, and never wanted trouble. Now, here I was, caught up in a battle over things as small as cleaning supplies, but it felt like so much more. This was about trust, respect, and boundaries that someone clearly didn't want to respect. After the cops left, Karen didn't just walk away quietly. No, she stuck around, pacing back and forth like she was waiting for someone or something. I noticed her glancing at my front door several times, almost like she was planning her next move. That's when it hit me. Maybe this wasn't just about stealing supplies or trying to paint me as the bad guy. Maybe Karen was testing me, pushing me to see how far she could go before I snapped or gave up. My mind was racing with questions. How much had she taken before I caught her? Was she watching me? Did she have friends involved who might be backing her up? The more I thought about it, the less safe I felt in my own home. I started double-checking locks, looking for hidden cameras, anything that might give me a clue. But all I found was this growing knot of anxiety that wouldn't go away. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, Karen suddenly pulled out her phone again and started recording. She wanted to document everything, everything, to use against me. I could feel my hands shake as I realized this was turning into a full-on battle of he said, she said, with my reputation and peace of mind hanging in the balance. The question was, how far was she willing to take this fight? And would the truth even matter once the story got out? I knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. Just when I thought I had a handle on how messy things were getting, something else happened that flipped the whole situation upside down. While Karen was busy recording me on her phone, trying to make me look like the aggressor, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was a message from an unknown number, and the words on the screen made my blood run cold. Asterisk, you are not the only one who's noticed Karen's little habit. Watch your back. Asterisk, that message threw me for a loop. Who was watching? And what exactly did they mean by habit? I glanced around nervously, realizing this wasn't just some petty neighbor dispute anymore. It was bigger and way more complicated than I ever imagined. Suddenly, all the strange things I'd brushed off, the missing packages, odd noises at night, started to make sense in a way I didn't want to admit. Maybe Karen had been involved in more than just stealing cleaning supplies. Maybe there was something deeper, something darker lurking beneath the surface of this quiet neighborhood. Then, to make things even more intense, I found out that Karen had apparently been talking to other neighbors behind my back. I overheard whispers that she'd been telling people I was paranoid and unstable, trying to discredit me before I could even defend myself properly. It felt like she was building a case against me, slowly turning the entire block against me. The thought hit me hard. Was I really the one at risk of being the accused? Or worse, the one who might lose everything? The biggest shock came when I discovered that Karen wasn't just after my cleaning supplies. She had started leaving little gifts on my doorstep, things that looked harmless but felt like warnings. A broken broom handle, a ripped cleaning rag, even a note that said, asterisk next time, you won't be so lucky. Asterisk. The message was clear. She wanted me to know this wasn't over, and she wasn't afraid to push it further. At this point, I was caught in a web of suspicion, fear, and confusion, unsure who to trust or what to do next. The police could only do so much, and Karen seemed one step ahead. I knew things were about to come to a head, and when they did, I wasn't sure if I'd come out on top or lose everything to a neighbor gone rogue. Just when I thought I couldn't take the tension any longer, everything came to a head one evening. Karen showed up at my door again, but this time she wasn't sneaking around or trying to act innocent. She was outright confrontational. I had called the police earlier that day, letting them know about the threats and the creepy gifts she'd been leaving, so when she knocked, I was ready. But instead of calling them immediately, I decided to face her head-on. What I didn't expect was how quickly the situation spiraled. Karen stormed inside before I could even lock the door, holding a small bag in her hand. She was furious, yelling about how I was destroying her reputation and making up stories. I stood my ground, demanding to know what was really going on, why she was acting like this, and what her real motive was. That's when she dropped a bombshell. The bag she'd been carrying wasn't full of stolen cleaning supplies. It was full of receipts and photos showing she had actually bought those supplies from a store weeks ago. Her plan was to prove she legally owned them, and that I was somehow accusing her unfairly. It was a twist I never saw coming. But then, just as I was starting to piece together her side, the police arrived. Neighbors had called after hearing the commotion, and the officers stepped in right as Karen was trying to explain herself. They found out that while Karen had bought some cleaning supplies, she'd also been sneaking into my house without permission on multiple occasions, something the receipts couldn't explain away. The police confronted her with security footage from my doorbell camera, showing her entering the house when I wasn't home. Suddenly, her whole story started to unravel. What shocked everyone most was when Karen broke down and admitted she had been jealous of me, my home, my lifestyle, and that the stealing was her way of trying to get back at me. She claimed she felt ignored and wanted attention, but her actions went way too far. The officers warned her about trespassing and harassment, and things finally started to calm down. But just as I thought this nightmare was over, the final twist came. The unknown number that had texted me earlier, it wasn't a neighbor. It was her ex-roommate someone who warned me because they'd been through Karen's manipulative behavior before. Turns out, this wasn't Karen's first time causing chaos for someone she lived near. The more I learned, the clearer it became. This was just the beginning of a long road ahead.